Blog Talk Radio.
Hey guys, this is Those Guys, yet again with another Cloverfield movie. The final one up until this point, although the next one's coming out in October. But before we get to all that, I'm Matt Marrero, and I am here along with your other host.
How could you not remember?
How could I know? Oh, actually, yeah. Who is the other host? I don't remember. Was it Satish Ram?
Our show ended. What are you talking about? Who are you? Matt, you're dead in my time.
Our podcast ended the way it normally would have, just generally, crashing into the ocean.
Right.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So I have a question for you, Tristan. I told you how I felt about the movie before the podcast. Obviously, all of you are going to hear how I feel. That's the point of this.
Oh, God.
I want to hear what you thought about this movie. Like, okay, I don't know, because I want to see where the scale tips for you, because a lot of critics, not talking about fans of the movie or fans of the movies or the universe, a lot of critics lean towards no bueno. That's the scale here. Just meh or bueno or no bueno. That's the scale for some reason. Were you leaning toward, because the way you made it sound to me in text, you at least seemed energized about the film. Like it did interest you. Like it kept you interested. You didn't seem bored. So does that mean you're leaning towards bueno? Or even though you weren't bored, you didn't like certain things, so you're leaning towards no bueno? Where are you on the bueno scale?
Okay. I mean, I guess, all right. So you remember how I said it was interesting how they kind of taxed on the Cloverfield universe for the second movie? Yes. In this one, everything that you've said, and then a few things that I've seen, and then actually watching it, now it feels like it's the reverse. I feel this would have been like a great movie without the Cloverfield taxed onto it. Okay, I have no problem with Cloverfield being attached onto it or put next to it or whatever. My issue is that I feel like this is where, so I think the reason why you're saying this, and correct me if I'm wrong, is because it was so much of its own movie that we didn't even, there was barely any Cloverfield-ness to it. Right, yeah, and it didn't need it. Yes. Yes. Here's the thing, though. If you didn't notice, Tristan, because all jokes aside, I do know that there was a lot going on. Maybe you need to watch the movie again, and not being a dick about it. I'm being dead serious because you did miss a few things from us talking about it before. No, because one of the things I want to ask is, did you notice the monster before the end of the movie? Okay. No.
That's why I wanted to ask. And you can watch it in the background just like I do, maybe skip to it. When
was it
the husband Yes, when he found the little girl, before he did, in the distance, he kind of saw the silhouette of a monster looming.
Okay. I see.
And that's why he knew at the end. He's like, why are you not telling them about this shit?
That's weird because I thought I was going to see something and then I didn't. And then I guess I didn't realize the silhouette.
It sounded like sirens, and it was really dark, and it was there were clouds obscuring it.
Yeah. I remember all that. Like, I knew shit was going on Earth with the husband, but like that was the other thing.
No. I'm referring to specifically before he found the girl. As he's hearing help from the wreckage, he looks and he's like, like in his head he's thinking, holy fucking shit, because you hear like a Godzilla roar. And you see, like, something in the distance. I'm not saying it's the Cloverfield monster specifically, or Clover, or whatever you want to call it. But, yes.
Yeah,
so you can go back and check it right now, since I imagine you're in front of your computer. If you're not, sorry. But if you are, you can actually go back and check it right now. But, yeah, basically, it was that's the only time we kind of saw the monster. And I think that's the big issue, is because one thing I want to mention, too, is apparently test audiences. I don't know if test audience is a funny word, because I never know if someone uses the word test audience like they saw all of the footage finished, or they were brought in and they were asked and they were shown pieces of the script. I never know what that term can mean because I feel like it can mean a bunch of different things in the planning stages. But the reason why I'm talking about this right now is apparently test audiences were basically, they saw what I would imagine a finished version of the movie, or finished for them. And they said, hey, what's going on Earth? And that's why the Earth scenes were added in.
Right.
A movie with no Earth scenes.
I see the silhouette
would have been.
now.
There you go, yes. But it was just so dark that I even was like, wait, is that the monster or is he... like, what is that in the background there? I imagined it was the monster. But anyway, or a monster. But do you see what I'm saying, though, about the scenes being added in? Because personally, two things. One, a movie like this with no Earth scenes would have been horrible. Like, I'm not at the man level. I'm actually in bueno, barely. I would have been in no bueno. I would have been on that part of the scale if there were no scenes on Earth. Even though they felt tacked on, we needed to know what was going on down there with this husband. Like, it felt like this husband, Can you imagine if his role was just, oh, I love you, but you know what, you should go. It's like, okay.
Right.
And then it was only her in space.
You need to save humanity.
No. She needs to do it. I'm just saying that was his only...
But then coming back to save it.
Yeah, but I'm saying, imagine if that was his only part in the film. It's just kind of like, really? Yeah. You have an entire Earth down there that could be flooded with monsters and other things that they're talking about, and we don't see it. Although I have to admit, though, it felt a little bit tacked on. Like, I wanted to know more about this girl. It was just so funny how... Okay, so another thing, too, about this movie. Did this movie give you, like, mixed messages where it felt like everything was still going to be fucked regardless of anything going on, but they wanted to make you feel like there were feel-good moments?
Yeah. I mean, towards the end, I'm like, when they, made it back to their universe and they're floating back, I'm like, so this can't end, happy. That's not how this works. As much as I, kind of want it to at this point, that's not what's going to happen here.
Yeah, and look, I get it. I'm not saying the other movies had lovely endings. What I'm trying to say is the fact that the first movie, unless you see the alternate ending, it looks like they both died in each other's arms in a way that's kind of sweet. Even though obviously everything else is going to shit around them, at least they died together. And again, they're dead anyway. So it's like, okay, that's sad. That's the ending. The second one, she escaped, and she now can fight with the resistance. Even if it doesn't end well, it's still, you heard it saying like, hey, we have a fighting chance. I mean, we just saw her kill one. So that's not it's not the worst case scenario, her leaving like that. But just the fact that the Earth scenes that were added in, it's just like, all right, we've talked to her parents. They're happy. They thank you for helping this girl. It's like, how the fuck is he even going to get her there?
Yeah.
Like, how the fuck... there's monsters. What's going on here, guys? I mean, granted, this is the quote-unquote future, so there is a chance they could have a better... Like, once they're prepped with knowing what's going on, they're like, oh, no, we have lasers, guys.
Right.
So maybe they're good once they actually know what they're dealing with. But I feel like this was... I don't know. I feel like we got an incomplete movie. I feel like if we got a part 2 to this, I would be like, yeah, that makes sense. Because this felt like a Doctor Who 2-parter that is not getting a second part. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Your good old favorite space station episode, Matt.
I got to be honest. I laughed at that the first 5 minutes. I was like, it's my favorite type of Doctor Who episode. But I got to be honest. It did the space station stuff well. I enjoyed what they were doing. It was nice to see, everyone from different kind of cultures coming together. A few left out, of course. I say of course as in obviously not every culture was, represented there. Sad, but I mean, after you have like 15 people on the ship, a bit too many. 15 plus. It's like, all right, guys, too many here.
Right.
But so I get how, some people got left out. But still, it was, I don't know, it was a nice mix of people, nice mix of personalities. But I think in the second half it fell apart. And I hate trying to sound like I'm a film critic, because it's really supposed to be us just, talking about what we like and dislike about films. But it really felt like after a certain point things just broke down and the logic didn't really. I know they're being, they're stressed. They're in obviously a lot of peril. And of course, technically 16 billion people, if you count both Earths, are in danger here.
Right.
So I get it, right? But I don't know. I felt like so early on, I didn't know if it was going to be relationship drama. So even before we got to the space shuttle, I was like, oh, Tristan's going to love this first conversation.
Well,
and then we got away. Yeah.
I mean, at least with them, it's not shitty teen drama. It's actual two functioning adults.
To be fair, you're right. Also, I enjoyed the backdrop, the idea of like, the world is running out of energy. A little scary, a little bit too real. I don't like when my science fiction drops the fiction part. But still. They want to go for a science fiction feel, and they did go into the future. It's not like they were like 2018. So yeah, it was 2036, I believe. But I don't know, man. I feel like this movie was a bit too linear when trying to explain timey-wimey shit. And I know I borrowed a Doctor Who phrase. But no. But I'm being serious here. Like, I was wondering if there were going to be any time shenanigans involved in the movie. If there was going to be any paradoxical shenanigans. And, of course, we got the weird shit with the guy's arm, but that had to do more with a universes colliding rather than time stuff. Also, like I mentioned earlier, just the girl on Earth, it was just so normal. Like, I was expecting something, like, once they're in the shelter, I'm like, what's going to happen in the shelter? We got a little shake, and then that was it. And I know I'm focusing a bit maybe too much on the Earth scenes, but even when we get back to the space shuttle, it still felt like even the weird shit that happened there, I thought, you know what we needed, Tristan? We needed not, like, the Doctor, but we needed a character who could explain weird shit, like in Pacific Rim. I think the actor was Charlie Day. I don't remember what character he played, but he was just very much like, he was a bit like Osgood in Doctor Who. We need a character like that to be like, okay, what this might be, and kind of nerding out.
That was supposed to be the German physicist on the station.
But we never got that from him. He was super reserved. I feel like he barely said. Here and there. Yes, but I feel like when someone died via something, I was expecting someone to be like, ooh, that maybe it's this. And we never really got that. Like, people died due to some weird shit that I wanted them to hypothesize, like, what is happening here? And it kind of just felt like we were supposed to accept it. Like, oh, no, the cooling system had an issue, and that's why there was water? I guess. Well, she's dead. That sucks. Anyway, moving forward. And granted, they had to move forward. They were all going to die.
Yeah, they don't have the time to really think about it. Like,
I don't know. They don't have the time to grieve.
Like in Doctor Who, Doctor Who, they always have at least a few minutes to actually think about what the fuck just happened. In this case, it's like, the station is literally falling apart around us.
It just, I don't know, even in Doctor Who, though, it feels like they talk while running. It felt like no one wanted to talk while running in this movie. Or just general, I don't know, like, it just felt like people, like...
no one seems to like each other that much on this station either, to be fair.
That's the thing, though. I don't think it was that, because once we got the I can't remember her name, but from the other dimension, once she stepped in, it seemed like there is supposed to be a camaraderie, at least among the ones in her dimension. I think the only reason why it seemed like there wasn't that was because they're just people that were stuck on a ship for 2 years. Like, it can get to you a little bit. Especially when apparently people think, oh, are you going to... Because that's the interesting thing, right? It kind of felt like a mission of, oh, let's get everyone together because everyone has a dog in this race, I think was the idea. Where like, oh, we're not going to leave this group out because then they'll feel excluded. As in, Like, okay, in other words, we're not going to fire on you on Earth. Like, we're not going to shoot a nuke at you on Earth. Why? Because one of our guys is up there trying to fix everything. It kind of felt like that was like a treaty in a sense of like, all right, we're not going to actually, like, it might seem like a Cold War because they were talking about that stuff like, oh, it seems like Germany is getting ready to go to war. They were saying that on the ground, but it seemed like them sending one person from a certain country into space. It felt like it was kind of like a mission of, all right, let's calm down. We'll send your guy so you feel confident about your guy helping you out, you know, like you have a stake in this too, you know, Germany or Russia or China. But I think just in general, people being on a ship for 2 years and then also thinking, what if you're a traitor in the back of your mind? Like, what if you're doing this just for you and not for me? You know, that definitely was something that stuck. Now, one thing I have to ask you, do you think that the universes bled into each other in people's heads as well? Like, in their thoughts? Because they didn't really address it too much, but I think it happened with Volkov. It was Volkov, right?
Yeah.
I think that happened with Volkov. Do you want to know why?
Yeah, well, because when he had the thought and he realized, the German scientist is like, oh, you're the traitor. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah,
I thought he was going crazy because...
And it was before...
Right?
Yeah, the woman from the other dimension even mentioned anything about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wonder if they're... Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I wonder if their brains fused, which seems really weird and dumb until you realize his version is dead in the water and his eyes were turning as if he was like a corpse.
Oh.
I feel like this...
I see. With his other self. Now that yeah,
because I feel, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like in Doctor Who, and I'm not trying to say that Doctor Who's the best because we've had podcasts where I've discussed some things I really don't like about, you know, some seasons or some episodes. So don't think I'm trying to sit here being some Doctor Who fanboy. But again, I feel like in Doctor Who, or Pacific Rim is another one that I haven't seen in a while, but I know we might be doing that on the show soon. But still, what I'm getting at here is we have a character being like, why are you like this? Or why is this happening? This is interesting. Maybe this is the this and this. But I feel like we were just supposed to assume, or maybe the thought is, oh, you can think about it yourself. Like, maybe that's what it was. And I'm just not a fan of that when the marketing for this movie, and I know people might laugh at me talking about trailers and acting like they're legit in any way, but the marketing for this movie was literally, you're going to find shit out. And then in this movie, they leave me with questions that I know, because they don't do sequels the way other movies do, they're never going to answer again.
Right.
No one's ever going to answer what the fuck was going on with the bleeding of the universes. And I'm cool with that in the first two movies. I'm not cool with that in the movie that, A, this is the third time it's technically happening, of like, oh, we don't have all the answers. And B, this is the one that told me you're going to get all the answers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because then I have to say that to you, like, oh, I wonder if they were bleeding together because Volkov knew. And you're like, right, that could have been the case. And then we're just sitting here, twiddling our thumbs, going, maybe that's what happened. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not saying someone had
talk
to
about universes, you know, particles of two different dimensions fighting over the same space, and that's going to cause weird shit to happen. But it also feels like the weird shit only happens at the most inopportune times. Like when the Chinese engineer, she goes and she gets flooded and then frozen in space. Now we've lost our second engineer. Granted, they got the information that they needed from her and were thankfully able to ventilate. Condensation is what threw them off. I mean, I guess that makes about as much sense as anything else would, but that kind of strikes me as funny now. And then the mechanic, he gets killed funny because the ring, the whole thing becomes magnetic and then explodes, and then the whole station is thrown off kilter. It's like, And it's like, oh, and it just happened to happen when you're in a room full of oxygen and it is at its most explosive.
Also, by the way, they were fucking tentacles. Like, no one was asking why are they fucking tentacles.
Yeah, I thought he was going to get stabbed with, like, the metal.
Yes, that would have been cool.
The liquid metal that he was using, I thought it was going to fly off and fly through him, and that's how he was going to die. Not turn into fucking magnetic tentacles and do God knows what.
Because what the fuck does that mean? Because they turned to tentacles and they kind of pulled him into the matter itself, and then, of course, he exploded, which obviously meant that he was done for no matter what. Another thing I thought they were going to mention. He was my favorite, too.
That was the best line. My fucking arm.
My fucking arm. My fucking arm.
It's funny, because you see that shot in the trailer with his arm crawling across the ground, and it's super creepy. And it's still super creepy, even in the moment. But never did I think I was going to hear the line, "That's my fucking arm." And everyone be so, staring at it awestruck, but him just being like, "So that's my fucking arm."
I love when he asks.
Did you see the shot at the very end where Hamilton is running away from the other girl, and his arm is still in the glass case, and it's just tapping its fingers like, well, now what the fuck do I do?
I honestly wonder if there's another universe where he's also missing an arm and controlling it, because that's fucking nuts. Because thought, because he can't even control the arm. So, it has sentience, but it clearly knows shit.
Right. And then if they're, in the other world, of the other Earth, their station crashed, did he survive? Is the other version of him the one controlling the arm? Or is there yet a third version? Or is the arm just sentient now?
Yes. Believe me, I'm a fan of the latter. I'm a fan of the arm being sentient.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that the disturbances were, again, okay, it sounded like Doctor Who bullshit enough, just explaining.
They're all cool in the moment. Yeah, they're all cool in the moment, but now that I'm thinking about them and how they're, I guess, I don't know, I feel like they should tie together to the other universe. They kind of don't.
Again, Volkov, I think Volkov and Tam, I always keep on forgetting her name.
Yeah.
Yes?
No, you're right. Yeah.
Those two made the most sense to me. Because to me it was unless, and I know this might sound silly, unless somehow, the fucking tentacles meant octopus are fucking dragging his corpse around in the water, and I'm not kidding, I'm being dead serious. I don't know what that means, because the Tam thing makes sense. Right, you guys drowned. Water, in a way, is seeping. I know condensation, and that's supposed to be sort of, there was an error in the cooling system, and that can add on to it.
Right.
But literally, though, you drown in this universe. You guys talk about sharing temporal space, dimensions bleeding into each other. It would make sense that water just starts flooding randomly in the space station. Then Volkov, knowing, and also, again, if his dead corpse is in the water and the eye is fucking moving around, because why wouldn't it? It's in the fucking water now. It was interesting that his eye was moving, and apparently he sounded like he even heard something. Like he was talking to himself as if he was talking to someone else, or something else was getting into his head. And then he makes the gun, and then he's like, "You betrayed us." And German dude's like, what? Because in their universe, he apparently was a very nice gentleman.
Mm.
But yeah, so apparently he was. Apparently, German dude is the reason why it crashed, or at least he betrayed them and was going to, take the space station for himself, and then something went wrong. Something happened there that maybe I've forgotten, but we don't know the full story too, in that universe. But either way though, again, my whole thing is that makes sense. Volkov makes sense. The other one makes sense. The captain, I mean, he was, that's the thing too, by the way, with the captain and everything, he just seemed too convenient. It didn't feel like the deaths were oh no, this is happening and this sucks. It felt like, oh, well, I guess this had to be your time.
Yeah,
that was,
well, I guess
no, that's what I'm saying, No, but that's just kind of how it felt. Like, it just felt, like you said, it was super convenient when people had to die because they had to die.
Yeah.
I mean,
because I knew right from the
issue.
beginning, this crew is not getting out of here, are they?
No. Yeah, I was the same way, and in fact, in a way, I'm kind of happy it took that long for some of them to die. I'll say that much. I'm happy that one of them didn't die in the first, because there were so many of them. I was like, you're gonna die soon, and they didn't.
Right.
Like once they were like, what's happening? I was like, what? Yeah, like they took a while.
I thought the initial explosion that happened when they fired the thing and it worked, I thought someone was gonna die in that when gravity flipped upside down. Or
that's what I'm saying.
It was the station flipping upside down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, but still, now we know that it was the station, funnily enough, because I thought it was gravity and dimensions and shit like that. Did you notice the Slusho figure, by the way?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, now he knows. Now he knows. Now you pay attention to Slusho. Yeah, so the Slusho figure obviously was there. They called it the Cloverfield Paradox, so that was obvious. That tie-in, not just to the movie name, but just in general to Cloverfield. They called it the Cloverfield Paradox. The guy in the beginning, who, by the way, if you don't know him, he was in Blade, Grounded for Life, and he's currently Harvey Bullock on Gotham. He was some huge conspiracy theorist. And I love the newscaster, by the way, that's like, so you're saying that demons are going to come in. And without skipping a beat, he's like, yes. Like, why would I not be talking about demons coming in here? And also I love the whole, like, look, I wish I was wrong thing, because I don't feel like a lot of people do that often. Like, they sound like they want to be right, and he's like, look, I wish I was wrong. It's just, you know, like, I'm telling you, there's going to be demons, monsters, space-time. It's all going to be destroyed. And you can actually find out more about it in my book. And I was like, you motherfucker. That's why you're on the show. You're pimping out the book.
Right.
And then I love it. The captain was like, turn that shit off. And I was like, yeah. I mean, that's the last thing you want to fucking hear when you're up there.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, no, that's the last thing you want to be doing is just hearing, by the way, you're all going to die, or all of us are going to die. It's going to suck is the point.
Right. I mean, that was something I enjoyed
Yeah.
about the film, actually. It was just the dynamic of the crew. Because, like, they're all willing to work together for, obviously, the good of humanity, but they're also still people, so it's still kind of like, oh, when the one guy starts praying and the scientist is like, really? Do we have – it's like, just let him do his thing, please. You know?
Yeah. So my thing is this, right? I love the dynamic of the crew. Yes, I give you that 100%. And I think the actors are really what saved this movie from going into the no bueno category for me. So that was good.
Yeah,
everyone
felt pretty solid.
Yes. My issue is, you mentioned, oh, hey, you know, you talked to me about earlier on, you just said it, the second movie, like, oh, hey, you know how I felt like that, you know, had enough Cloverfield and yada yada. In this, remember when I said in the second movie's podcast that we did, 10 Cloverfield Lane, when I said it felt like the main character, she didn't have that much depth to her. The most character that had depth was like Emmett, right?
Right.
Here, I don't feel like there was one character that I can say, wow, you had amazing depth. I know the most we can say in this case is obviously the main character, which I do admit that is refreshing to have the main character and be like, wow, we know the most about you because you're the main character. But it just felt like in general we didn't, like, I only knew where people were from because of the accents they were trying to do. And I'm not even saying every accent was good. It's just that I knew, oh, you're doing that accent, so then you're from here. Or they'd be like, hey, you know, like, why are Germans trying to do this? And it's like, oh, so then that one is from Germany. That's what I know. And he was the most I know about the German scientist was that he was a traitor in another universe. We technically don't see that one, but I know more about him.
Yeah, true.
But again, I'm not saying I need to know everything about the German scientists. I'm just saying that overall, yes, their motivations are save the earth. I get it. But that's so basic that that's anyone's motivation unless you're the bad guy. And even the bad guy's motivation was to save the earth, just her earth.
Yeah.
And granted, that was a nice moral dilemma, I'll admit. Like, hey, we're going to have to rebuild the space station. That'll take so long. We're going to kill so many of these people down there in trying to do that. It doesn't matter if I'm still alive. It doesn't matter if I tell them the crazy things that are going on. It doesn't mean anything, right? And I get that. I really do.
Yeah.
So, like, that is a good dilemma. It's just so frustrating that we had to get to that through the main character wanting to leave the station to stay on this other alternate Earth. So you thought that was bullshit too. That wasn't just me.
Yeah, well, because like even the captain says, it's like you are still down there. It's like that's her family, not yours. You do get that, right? And it's like, no, but I still have to warn them about the fusion cell that I put in the house that killed them. It's like, okay, I get that, but how the fuck are you going to get down there? And okay, let's say your plan, you go through your plan to do that, and then you're stranded there, and we're another hand short up here.
Well, I'll tell you why it got me mad. Now, the movie never addressed this, and I think I understand why. I'm not saying it was a good reason why, but I get why. I was mad because, again, I'm sorry, everyone. I want to apologize to all of the fans listening in because I have to put my hand back in that Doctor Who well again. When someone says, oh, no, there's a disruption in the universes. If we go back, everything should be back to normal. Then you need all of the bodies.
Crew, right, to go back, for everything to go back to normal. Yeah, because that's what I thought of, too, as she, sent the other woman out through the window and into space. It's like, okay, so maybe the damage that's been done won't be reversed, but once they go back, shouldn't that prevent anything else from happening?
What do you mean? What you mean talking about the one from the other dimension? I'm confused.
Yes.
Which woman are you talking about? Oh no, because remember, sending her. Oh, you meant like if they go back to the other universe, will the ship be okay?
Well, like.
Well, no, because she was from she died in her universe.
Well,
what do you mean? The woman that died, the one that was from the other universe, they were in her universe when she died, so she's okay. But it's when Tam died that I'm like, wait, but she's not coming back with them. And then the captain died, and I'm like, he's not coming back with them either.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
that was my issue.
Interesting point, too.
No, that's what I'm trying to get at. So I feel like the movie didn't address the whole let's bring everybody back because literally every single corpse back because if they did do that with her, then that means that no one could die in really cool ways that shoots them off into space.
Right. Because I was thinking if God, we really need to figure out what the hell her name was because we can't just keep referring to her as the woman from the other dimension.
Well, no, but when she died, quote unquote, in getting shot through the window and everything, she died in her dimension. So technically, that's cool by space time.
But like, because her whole idea was, I can't let you go back. I need the ship to save my dimension. But if she kept their ship there when hers had already crashed, like wouldn't the paradoxes still keep going and fuck things up even more?
Yes. All she was doing by sending that energy beam down to her Earth was making a laser light show for the monsters that are in her dimension.
Right, that too. Well,
that's all she was.
It was supposed to be for infinite energy.
And but it doesn't matter. It's a laser light show. But it doesn't matter. It's a fucking laser light show.
Jensen.
You shoot the beam down to Earth. No, I'm saying you shoot the beam down to Earth is what I'm saying. And it's a fucking party because the monsters still exist and they'll continue to exist.
Although I wonder if in Jensen's universe the monsters had come out.
No. The point is that with this disruption, if there could be a universe of monsters that they're coming from.
That too. Yeah.
That's the whole idea. It's not that demons are coming from a dimension that's like ours. It's that we fucked up things so badly that arguably, which would be nice to see in a future film, someone could legitimately pass through into another dimension just by walking through. I know technically they did that in this movie, but they obviously didn't do it in the way the monsters do it. Because obviously the monsters aren't traveling on their own space station.
Yeah.
So, for all we know, in a future movie, people can pass through dimensions potentially easier, due to this disruption.
Yeah,
See, that's the one interesting thing about this film. It arguably means that you can have an infinite amount of Cloverfield films based on this one disruption alone.
Right.
That is what's interesting, to me at least. That's cool. What I don't like is that this disruption, it just didn't feel like it felt, again, incomplete. But before I get into more of that, what were you going to say?
Well, I don't know. So do you think this disruption goes throughout time as well as space?
Mm-hmm. I'm not going to spoil stuff from a future movie because I read a little bit of a synopsis. But, I mean, technically if it goes... Dude, we're going to have to talk about future movies. Cloverfield was in 2008.
I know. Well, that's what I mean. That's what I'm thinking
about. 10 Cloverfield... And 10... But hear me out. And 10 Cloverfield Lane, not only was it in 2016, that's when the movie was released, the main character had a newer iPhone.
Right.
That would not have existed in 2008.
Right.
So that means that wasn't some movie inconsistency because the movie came out 8 years later. Right. It could be in a different time altogether. For all we know, all three of these movies have happened in three completely different universes.
Yeah, that too.
That is what's interesting. Despite the fact that I would have loved if we've seen some of the characters from the first movie, appear with the character from the second movie, Michelle. To be fair, in the first movie, they all died anyway, allegedly, apparently.
Right. Yeah.
So it's not like they'd all say hi to each other anyway on the battlefield.
Yeah.
Well, again, alternate ending was.
Yeah, that might get. It's funny the idea that they're all separate universes that might actually help things make better sense in the long run.
Well, no. Of course, that's what I think is brilliant about making. Okay, so I have to be honest with you. The concept of this movie is amazing. I love it to death. Let's make a paradox that makes it so that other universes and time periods can get affected by these monsters. Not only does that explain the first two movies, but in the future you can do anything. You could literally do anything. You can go to any time period you want to, and it would make sense if monsters show the fuck up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That's cool to me. The only reason why I feel like this movie fell flat, at least in the second half, is because I feel like they had to manufacture their own. Like, I thought we were going to get monsters in space on the spaceship. That would have made a little bit of a little bit cooler. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was going to happen too. Like the screaming when they found Jensen in the wall. I'm like, so this is going to be, a monster, and it's going to eat someone.
Granted, I liked the reveal more because I was more terrified.
Oh, yeah, true. That was horrifying. Oh, so was the fucking... We found the worms.
That was funny, actually. Because I knew they were going to be inside him.
Right, I thought it was going to be a fucking chest burster. And I'm like, well, here's the alien, here it comes. And then it's worms. I'm like, oh, God, it's the worms from the goddamn tank.
That's the one thing that I like about this movie, actually. I want to say that, definitely. This movie tried to play on our fears of that's when the monster's going to pop out. Like you said, that's going to burst out of his chest. And it said, no, fuck you. We know that you know about these tropes. Here's your misdirection. That I enjoyed. That's something I enjoyed. The only reason why I keep on riffing on the second half is just because it felt like, again, once the second that she said, I want to stay here, we tipped into some no bueno territory. Started going there. All right? We started getting really into some, why is this happening? Why is this so stupid? Now, granted, when she said to her self, when she sent that message to herself, I know some people might say, oh, that's dumb, she's going to think she's crazy, yada, yada, whatever. I think that was a good moment in the movie. I think that's smart because you send out the plans, 1. 2, you end up having her warn herself. And 3, you feel like she can just be like, all right, cool, I did that. Let me go back to my own, universe. That's fine. I think that's fine. It was dumber. I mean, and some people might say it's dumb. I think it's less dumb, significantly less dumb, than showing up to meet yourself, to say, hi, take the energy cell out of your house. By the way, I think I might still be causing some disruptions. I think that's a monster over there. Well, we're all going to die anyway. Excellent. Just so dumb. Just so fucking dumb. That's what I'm saying. We needed that one character. I'm sorry to sound like a broken record, guys. We needed that one character to go, it's not a good idea, sorry. If you did that, then there's a good chance. Like, because we didn't have that character, people were allowed. People who apparently are scientists, or at least they're up there to do science. See, that's how much I know about science, Tristan. They're up there to do science, and they're being real stupid about science. But yeah. I mean, it's funny. I know that guy, the one selling his book, was a conspiracy nut. I kind of wanted him up there a little bit.
Yeah.
Come on, he would have been the guy that would have been like, I don't think we should do this, but you know what? I'm not gonna put a gun to your head, but I don't think we should do this. And then immediately when it happened, he's like, see, this is why I told you not to do this. Now let me explain what this might mean. Now, we don't take him too seriously. We're not saying he's 100%. The same thing with Howard in 10 Cloverfield Lane. We never took everything he said to heart.
Right.
But because of what we knew about the first one, whenever he said something like aliens, our ears kind of went up like a dog. We were like, "What was that, Howard? Did you mention aliens?" And of course, everyone else is like, "That guy's crazy," and I'm just like, "Shh. What about the aliens, Howard?" And then he'd be like, "Oh yeah, with the Russians," and I'd be like, "Okay, Howard, go to bed."
Right.
But same thing here.
I feel like
sorry,
because it was, as the movie was going on, like as shit was going down in the space station, I felt so sucked into the pilots, of the ship, everyone there, them working on trying to get everything under control, and so much shit was going on at once that I didn't really have time to think about it all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess that's kind of to the movie's advantage, because here I am, when I kind of stop and think about things afterwards, it starts to fall apart for me.
Okay, so what you're saying is, one thing the movie did well is they ramped up the tension so much that it kind of, in a funny way, fixed its own holes in their own little plot dimension. Like, it kind of patched a few things up. But now that you're able to think about it...
it didn't really patch it up. It was just able to glance over them because I was so focused on, let's get the ship back together, guys.
Right. And
that
again,
I didn't actually stop and think about it.
I'm not saying this is like the worst piece of shit. Like, I'm not trying to get there. I'm not trying to say that every single critic is right. I'm just... Because, again, I feel like sometimes critics are obviously, a bit too critical. That's their fucking job, right? But I do feel as if... Well, one, this is the weakest out of all three of the movies thus far. Like, I have no problem. With this being a Netflix. Me too, but I have no problem with this being a Netflix movie. Even though I don't want to use that term because Netflix creates some quality movies. I know we've talked about like Death Note, so it's kind of soured us. But still, I feel like Netflix does produce quality content. And technically, they didn't make this movie. They bought the rights to it, to be fair.
Right, yeah.
Netflix didn't make the movie. It was already made, and Netflix was like, we would like to distribute it. And the movie was so expensive for Paramount to make, the second that they heard that Netflix offered them more than $50 million, Paramount was like, we accept. Because they were nervous about how would this do in theaters, in the sense that it was worth it was worth so much money. Like, so much money was put into it that they were like, how are we going to make that money back? Because, of course, if anyone doesn't know, when you put a movie in theaters, the theater has to take a cut of the costs. Even if movies try to angle out and get, like, be like, oh, we take 50 or 60%, that's still 40% of the revenue gone in every theater,
right.
in multiple, multiple locations, multiple viewing areas. Like, even if it's, and again, you look at a movie like this, I hate to say it, but I think this would have bombed hard.
Mm-hmm.
I think people would have went to see it. There would have been, I think there would have been more than a niche audience. I think a fair amount of people would be like, wait, it ties into Cloverfield. Wait, this is different. Wait, it's called The Paradox. There would have been I think there would have been hype around it and people would have went to see it. But after that first weekend, I don't know. I don't know if it would have made $50 million back.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. Like, I don't think it would have made $50 million in the box office. Because also, by the way, $50 million is breaking even. They wanted to make more than how much? So I don't see this movie making like $100 million.
Yeah.
But the thing too is, like, it's sad, but you know what? Again, Netflix, they knew what they like. They want to corner this horror indie market, if you will. And I know it might be dumb to call it indie when, it's made by Paramount, but again, you look at what they've done with like something like Black Mirror.
Yeah.
They're sitting there and they're like, we want this movie. And of course, putting that, the marketing campaign, having it appear, because anyone doesn't know, maybe you're listening to this in the future and you don't know when this was, like how this was announced. During the Super Bowl, Netflix pushed the trailer for this 30-second Super Bowl ad. And literally, it had clips from the first movie in it, not the second one, sadly, but the first movie, kind of hearkening, making us feel like we're going to get the answers. And then basically, into the trailer, it said, and you can watch it after the game. It's available on Netflix right now. So I imagine a lot of people after the Super Bowl were like, well, I already took Monday off, and I like Cloverfield. Let me go see this movie. So I feel like it did well for Netflix and their numbers. At least I hope it did. I don't know if it would have done well for all of us to have to pay $13 to $20 to go to a theater to watch it. I don't know if people would have spent that kind of money. Especially, I mean, let's say it came out this weekend. Let's say this was the weekend they picked. Black Panther just came out.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. That's what you see what I'm saying? So, like, with all these other blockbusters, now granted, I do want future Cloverfield movies in theaters. I'm not saying that they can't be in theaters. The next one seemingly is going to be in theaters in October, and I'm okay with that. So I think we're going to get some interesting stuff from Cloverfield in the future. But this one in particular, I don't know why it was delayed. Maybe it was delayed because, Netflix put that money in and they wanted to have like a go at, like just seeing when it can fit into their schedule. I don't know why. But this movie was supposed to come out in 2017, not 2018. So I wonder, maybe it's just me, I wonder if this movie, because I don't think 10 Cloverfield Lane was technically delayed. I don't think it was anyway. Maybe it was. But in my opinion, it feels like this movie was never really meant to be a big blockbuster film, at least as a Cloverfield movie. Like, I hate to say it, but this movie does feel like it's a transitional kind of TV movie. Like, I feel like you could have shaved off
such a like a grand idea for the premise and what they had going on. You'd think this would be the big one, and yet it kind of falls short.
Most definitely. Also, funnily enough, I was going to say it would be like an hour and 20, and I realized something. If you take out all the Earth scenes, it might have been close to that, actually.
Right, yeah.
So I do wonder if, this movie was meant to be more of a, I don't want to say low budget like it's a bad thing, because I don't want to even use the word low budget, because apparently the second one was also supposed to be in the $5 million range in terms of budget. Jesus. This one was supposed to also be $5 million. But it went up really high because shit.
Yeah.
Right? It's supposed to be $5 million. We got up to nearly $50 million. What did we do wrong? Looks at everything involved. I wonder why.
Yeah.
Like, I want to get the numbers. I want to crunch the numbers. How much did that fucking dude's arm cost? Like, that costs money. Yeah. Like that, there's money involved there. Another thing I want to mention about the actors themselves. I don't know where many of them have been from, which is a good thing. I do know where the one guy, the German scientist, German physicist, he was actually Baron Zemo from the recent Captain America, I think it was Civil War movie. So that's what's really funny. He was Baron Zemo. Oh God, I was so mad when I heard the main character, right? When I heard her voice and I realized she was British, I got so mad at myself because I made the joke, "Oh, British? Huh, who's she been in Doctor Who?" So she was Martha's sister in the one fucking episode where we see her family.
God damn it.
She was her younger sister. Fuck everything, am I right? I mean, come the fuck on.
Yeah.
Really? The one British person?
I wonder if she looked around like, am I on the set of Doctor Who again?
Well, it's funny. I think she's one of the only people that I can think of, anyway, off the top of my head, to be in a role like this, and her first Doctor Who role was really simple. I mean, I don't think she actually played a big part in that episode. I think she was just like, hey, we're at this gala. Oh, no, there's a fucking weird spider thing, and that was it, and then they left. And then Martha stayed to do doctor shit, like just be with the doctor and fucking fight Mark Gatiss, who is the monster, who was looking for, funnily enough, who's trying to get immortality in that episode, I'm pretty sure. I think he even wrote the episode himself, I think, but don't quote me on that. Anyway, yeah, and some of the other actors, they've done stuff, but interestingly enough, the husband, this was actually his first film. And I was like, good for you, actually, getting those other lines, getting those other scenes. Nothing about him made me think, you're new at this, so that's good.
Right.
But yeah. Oh, here's what's really funny. I've seen the guy, our favorite, the one who lost his arm. I've seen him in some other stuff. He's mostly a comedian, mostly a comedic actor. But he was actually I've seen him be credited for only one stage play, and it was Of Mice and Men, and he played Lenny.
Damn.
I don't know what to feel. I don't know how to feel about that.
Yeah.
I feel like I could just imagine Lenny, just think about the rabbits, Lenny, and just his arm just fucking punches George in the face.
Oh, jeez, just like I can't tell it now.
Thanks for saving me, arm. I nearly got shot.
Oh, jeez.
Just the arm gives him a thumbs up, gives him a note. You always get one. The arm just crawls away. But anyway, the kid was also really funny. Let's note, even though I feel like the scenes were tacked on, the kid was actually kind of funny. Where it's like, no texting while driving. And it was
right, Molly.
Yeah, and he's like, Molly, thank you. And he was like, well, that's true, but only in emergencies. Like, she was actually a hoot. She was nice.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
Clearly. Yeah. Funny thing, though, even though, obviously, I noted the budget did go up, obviously we know where the budget went. We also know where the budget didn't go, because literally through text, oh no, the hospital is destroyed. Do not come to this set, because there is no set. You would be driving off of a fucking cliff. There is nothing here. I just imagine him showing up to the hospital and it's just a bunch of fucking concept art, like when Daffy went into the undrawn parts of the episode.
Apparently everyone has a fucking bomb shelter.
Okay. I don't know if it's just me. I wanted the bomb shelter to look more like Howard's. Why? Because that's the most, literally just having the phrase bomb shelter in the movie is the most tie-in that we fucking had to the second one.
Yeah, right?
That's the most of a tie-in. The word bomb shelter. That's it. Or underground bunker. That was it. So, and by the way, I'm not saying that this had to technically tie into the second one because, duh, like it's its own universe in theory. And also, here's why it's funny. You got a little confused earlier, but you're not wrong getting confused because we see the Cloverfield monster at the end of this movie, named Clover, I think, is actually the official name of the monster. We see him at the end of the movie, so you're like, wait, was that the satellite that crashed in the water in the first 2008? And they have nothing to do with each other, right? But you were a little thrown off by that. I don't know if it was on the podcast or not, but you were a little thrown off because, and I understand why you were, because you're like, how does this tie in with the first one? I mean, we see the monster at the end, and it's like, no, the monster was just there as fan service, really. Like, the monster might as well have been an anime and the monster in a fucking maid outfit. Like, it was just fan service.
Yeah, there was enough horrifying me in this movie, Matt. I didn't need that image.
Yeah, Clover does it. Clover-chan.
I hate you.
Clover-chan. So
I hate you so much.
The monsters are going to Clover High.
I hate you.
Really?
You just see the fucking spider things, and then the tentacle hound, and then the spaceship squid. They're all picking on the first Cloverfield monster. Oh God.
No, they all have to save the Clover Club. So they have to go to the headmaster, and they're just like, "Please save our club," and just Godzilla turns around in the chair.
Oh my God.
I'll see myself out.
You should.
Mhm.
It's funny. I would have said before, it's like, yeah, I want to see Godzilla. It's like, and now it's just like, no, I don't want Godzilla to touch this with a 10-foot pole. Actually,
I want this to happen even harder now because they fucking please listen to me, Tristan, and everyone listening on this podcast. I mean, I would imagine you're listening to our podcast. Please let me explain. Once you say that there are random other universes that we've bled into, there is literally no reason why you can't have a video game appearance at the very least of the Clover monster in like a Godzilla Destroy All Monsters game for the PS4.
This brings out a whole new meaning for like a Godzilla movie titled All Monsters Attack. Again, older movie, but like rebooting that and using that as a title, it's like, so we talking universes here or
the amount of bueno on the bueno scale. Just immediately you see me with the fucking a DBZ scouter and a sombrero. It's over 9 bueno. What 9 bueno? That can't be right, can it? But Tristan?
Yes.
Okay, I thought I killed you with an over 9 bueno. I was like, is he okay? Is he doing okay over there? Cause I know you're not in the 9 bueno there. You're not at 9 bueno just yet. You're getting there though.
My eye just twitches to the side. Matt?
Yeah, that makes a lot of. Dude, I believe that just happened to you. I really do. That silence was just his eye fucking turning, or just turning red. But anyway, what I'm saying is, all jokes aside, though, we talked about on our Keikaku Corner podcast over at our Those Guys on the Radio YouTube channel, and of course it's also on our Blog Talk Radio account as well, blogtalkradio.com/Those Guys on the Radio. We talked about talks of Pacific Rim potentially crossing over with Godzilla and King Kong in the future. When you bring up the idea that other dimensions can be crossed into with these monsters, there's literally no reason why a Cloverfield monster can't appear in a standalone movie with Pacific Rim, Godzilla, and fucking King Kong. Or if you cut out Kong, no reason why Godzilla and Pacific Rim can't appear. Literally, you just have to have a separate universe, characters we sort of know, but not really. Basically like, hey, yeah, we're fighting with the Jaegers. Oh, no, that's a new monster. Godzilla's like, who the fuck are you?
Everyone is just so confused.
Yeah, they're both fighting each other and everything, and it's like, that's an interesting kaiju. And then all of a sudden, literally, it's like, that's Godzilla. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it's just Cloverfield's monster, like, who are you? Who are you? Godzilla's like, really? Another thing to punch? All right. fuck you too. So that's my take on it. Like, my take on it is,
right.
I just feel like now that you've done this, not only can you do anything in their universe, which I think is something we do enjoy. Like, we do,
right.
to be fair,
yeah.
as much as this movie was a little awkward, at least, even though I wish there was more so that we can get some explanations on certain things, I do think that you and I hope many other people agree on the fact that at least if you didn't like this movie, you can watch another one and not feel like these characters are going to be, or even though I didn't think the characters were dragging it down, but this plot isn't going to drag down the next one.
Right.
Because that's the thing. Think about it like this, Tristan. If you're like, oh, I don't like this movie, well, you're not going to fucking watch the sequel. Like, why would you?
Yeah. No, it doesn't make me feel like that, no.
That's what's good, right? And this, at least here, if you don't like this, you're like, oh, well, the next one will be about something completely different. And to be fair, that's something that I actually love about this franchise, because I don't think movies really do this that often, like that often, or really at all. And I think certain movie franchises could start in a way. And I know some might say, oh, no, but Marvel movies did that. But not really, because there was always a sense of a greater goal that, you know, you guys are all going to come together in an Avengers movie, or that there's little tie-ins here and there other than just, like, slusho.
Right.
Like because in other words, like what I'm getting at is, like, you watch the first Iron Man movie, you're like, okay, cool, whatever, like, this is good, I love it, right? Then you watch the Incredible Hulk movie, and then you see like little bits and pieces here of, well, first off, I think Tony Stark appeared in the after credits scene in that movie. But even putting that aside, you have little Iron Man footage appearing in the film. Then in Iron Man 2, I'm pretty sure with Iron Man 2, you see Tony looking over footage of Hulk destroying the university, or rather the army men near the university, from the Incredible Hulk 2009 movie. So my point is that they all meant to, you know, come together in that way. Where these, especially after the first one, I really enjoyed how they went away from, you know, found footage. And how cool that was, that transition. Here, though, I got to ask you, do you think this movie would have been either, not better, but it would have been a nice callback if it was found footage?
I mean,
because they're on a space station. They're on a space station, and there's cameras on the space station, clearly, because they jumped to each one.
Right.
Multiple times. Do you think that would have been better, or do you think it just, not better, but do you think it would have been a cool thing to do, or it would have mattered? Because how funny is it that in all three movies, you could have had cameras and had it be found footage in all three, based on the fact that these last two especially were in closed quarters?
Right. Yeah, I mean, this one probably could have, because you could have seen it. We could have even seen it from Earth the whole time, well, until, you know, monsters attacking and everything. But
I mean, think about it too. We had a found footage Doctor Who episode in the space station, because we saw their helmets, and through their helmets, and then through the different cameras around the whole thing. I mean, that whole plot fell through with the whole editing thing, but we won't get into, you know, space Adobe Premiere Pro. You know, we won't talk about that fucking bullshit. Anyway, here, though, okay, so another thing, too, by the way, do you think, something I wanted to kind of know, like, do you think it was some kind of ploy having, what was her name again? You just said it before, from the other dimension.
Jensen. You think it was like some kind of ploy that Jensen said to the main character, hey, your family is still alive here, to try to maybe get her off the station so that she wouldn't have to kill her or something? Because didn't it just seem so fucking weird and forced that it's just like, why are you showing her family? Why do you not want her to go back? And then once I realized, oh, she wants the station to stay here, that made a bit more sense. Thing. I don't know. Like, okay, I'm probably wrong, but throughout the movie, and especially then, when she's like, you know, oh, you could have gone to be with your family, you know, I don't have to kill you. I would feel great if I didn't have to at least kill one of you. But I don't know why, but I felt like Jensen was supposed to be the older version of Molly. Like, they look kind of similar, too, but obviously two different names.
I love you. God,
Yeah.
do I love you, Tristan. Because I actually thought they were going to pull some timey-wimey bullshit in a good way. Because why would you
were
not
the
have
one who raised me. Yeah.
No, not like that. That would be weird.
Oh.
But I thought no.
I mean, I'm
referring to the fact.
Like,
no.
Then how did she
know
would've... her otherwise? Because she wasn't part of. Because in Jensen's universe, Hamilton's not part of the crew. Then how the fuck does she know her?
No, she said we were friends and you stayed on Earth. They even had the thing. They said Auntie. In the movie that she showed her, they call her Auntie. Because that's a movie that she has of her and the kids.
Oh, she's the one shooting this. Oh, okay. Okay, got it. I missed that.
Well, not that she was shooting it, but it was being shot and sent to her. So on the ship, she apparently is such good friends with them, apparently, that she has videos of them on archive, which is like cool, I guess. I guess you're like super fucking best friends. Although it's just so funny that apparently in their universe, that's the only difference. Like, everything else is exactly the same, 1-to-1. The only difference is Jensen is your fucking super best friend. It's like, okay.
I mean, I guess they, like, because I feel like if they had too many different things, it would be too much to follow. But, yeah, it kind of felt like, wow, for alternate realities, these are pretty 1-to-1. Then again, I mean
yeah, arguably that's the thing. They were so close to each other, potentially, that they were that similar. If you want to get into other media's versions of alternate realities. Maybe that's kind of what it is.
Yeah, it depends on, like, how you think an alternate reality should be, too. Yeah.
Yes, but because arguably, it's funny, even though it was in 2038 or 236, even though it was that far ahead, it was still far ahead. It was one of those, I feel like they chose that far ahead because they were like, okay, we want them to have better technology in some regards, but we don't want it to be so far ahead that it looks silly if we're just filming normal cars and no one's flying.
Right, yeah.
Because I feel like they had to do this, like, this in-between, where they're like, we can't go for 3,000 because then it's like, why is no one flying in their space cars? But we kind of want to go for, but we don't want to go too, like, we don't want to say it's 2020 because then it's like, how the fuck did you get a space station up there?
Right.
With that much
it's kind of funny if they made it like 3,000. It's like, oh, why does no one have flying cars? It's like, yeah, I said that about 2,000 too.
But that was only 50 years. That was only 50 years. Yeah, no, like
1,000. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. It's 1,000 years. You would imagine, right? But no, yeah. I thought they were gonna pull some timey-wimey weird shit where it was just like, wait, like basically she being Jensen would start remembering things that she shouldn't be because they never happened. Like in weird, like again, it's not Doctor Who time stuff, but like other media has done weird stuff like that with time travel, where it's just like, wait, that shouldn't happen. I don't remember this happening because, like, you know, again, it's her in another. But to be fair, that version of her was in a different universe. If it would have been Molly, so it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
Because Molly was in the universe where the kids died.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Still, though, it would have been really interesting if, like, her younger self bled into a different universe and something like that. It would have been interesting. Where it'd be like, I mean, imagine that. Her parents don't exist. What?
Yeah, right. I thought it was going to be something like that, too, because I thought she was going to be a bigger part of what the fuck was going on, tying what's going on with Earth with what's happening in the space station, but that didn't happen either.
I didn't think that they would tie her in. I just thought that she would be a bigger deal in the sense that she would be something, there'd be a reason why we're looking at Earth right now, but I didn't think that she would actually, I know I said maybe she'd be like, you know, a younger version of Jensen or something, but like other than that, I didn't expect her to actually tie in like the way you did. But again, though, it just felt like I said, it felt like wasted potential. Like the first half of this movie, we're like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? And the second half was like just normal stuff. Why? It's like, what you look like you were building up to something bigger. I don't understand. What do you mean? Like, you know what this felt like? And I'm sorry to do this to you, Tristan, because I feel like you've forgotten, and I'm so.
Oh my God.
I feel like I'm the doctor. I'm so sorry. I feel like you're Donna. Your head's going to explode. This basically
only one way to find out.
This feels like a bigger budget version of that one episode of Class where they got sent to another dimension. It was just the story. It had to do its thing. There was nothing big, even though it felt like there could have been. And then, I'm talking about that one episode. And then everything went back to status quo right after.
Well, there goes my brain. Everywhere.
Yeah, right? That's where the worms went.
I hate you. I hate you so much. Oh, God, that was the worst part, though. Like, shit like that gets me really, like, I not that I can't handle it or that I don't enjoy it in a way, but it's one of those, it's like, I enjoy this because it's fun and it's scary, but I also don't like it because it's fucking scary.
Yeah, no, if I had seen it beforehand, I wish I did, but obviously I didn't want to because I want to, like, you know, experience it for the first time for the show. But if I had seen it beforehand, because there's some stuff that we do on the show, I'm like, hey, Tristan, I saw this years ago. I would like to, you know, for you to see this with me. I warn you, hey, there's going to be a lot of fucking blood, or this is going to be intense. Yeah, but I had no way of warning you because I didn't know. I mean, granted, it sucks because I did see it an hour or two before you, or 2 to 3 hours. So maybe I could have warned, but it wasn't like anything gory. That's the thing. Compared to the fucking first movie when you know, she exploded, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's like it's behind the curtain, but you still see the shadow. You still hear the scream. You still hear the splurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Granted, this one you saw, but it was also, he just vomited up a bunch of worms. I thought it was going to literally, his body was going to explode.
I know it was good. I know it's dumb. I thought he was going to vomit up some weird shit, like another version of himself or something fucking weird.
I thought he was going to vomit out a fucking like an alien or something, and then that was going to attack them. Yeah,
no, again, like we keep on saying this, and it's just, I feel like it's the theme of this episode of Friday Night Movies. I didn't even say it was a Friday Night Movies episode in the beginning. The theme of this episode is we're sitting here like, oh my God, what are you going to give us? Worms.
Not the trope. What are you going to give us?
Not
the trope you're expecting, that's for sure.
No, well, here's the thing. I'm happy with the not the trope thing. That's good. That's actually a plus. The minus point that I give is not something fucking weird. Because this movie just makes you think, oh my God, we're going to get some weird shit. And of course, again, the arm was some weird shit. Don't get me wrong. Do not get me wrong, guys. The arm was weird. But it just felt like, again, other missed opportunities for some weird time, space, continuum bending shit. And then back to what I said earlier, just, you know, a bunch of deaths that just happened. And then... But thankfully, though, in talking to you about this and talking to the fans about this, Tristan, I now realize that, yes, of course, Jensen wanted, her to leave because she didn't want to kill her because she looks a lot like her friend from that universe. Right. She's like, just go to Earth, just get away, and I'm going to, kill everyone else on here.
Yeah.
Also, is it just me, or did you want to know more about the captain? Because you saw some of his belongings, and I was like, oh, we're gonna hear something about him? But no, he was just crying, which makes sense. He was just crying, and then he leaves, and then that's all. We don't know anything else about him. Whatever. Who cares about the characters? I'm sorry, his death did not make me feel like we saw his family for like briefly, and I'm just like, it's just, you don't want her to say anything to your family, maybe? I mean, maybe they were dead potentially, but I don't know. You don't want to. I love it. Just. It feels like the neutral people from Futurama.
Oh God.
Yes, I was like, I forgot what the line was. It was something like, "Tell my wife and children." Yes, or like it's like I know that they exist, or something like that, and then they die. Yeah, or no, it was like, "Tell my wife and children I knew them."
I mean, it's funny. Like, I liked his role and his character. Like, just didn't being like, okay, I'm losing my fucking mind right now, but I got to keep all you shitheads together so that we can make it back in one piece.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
don't know.
obviously
it's just
they all
that character archetype I appreciate, but yeah, him himself, there isn't much to distinguish him as a character himself.
Yes. No. They all had their roles, and I think they all fit their roles very well. The one thing that I think is really... Yes, thank you. The one thing that's really stupid, though, is it was, by the way, super cool that they could 3D print food on the spot. That was fucking amazing.
Did you see the Scotch tape written on the side of it, though? Worst bagel machine ever.
Yes, that killed. And we obviously know who the fuck put it on there. I have a feeling I know who put that on there. Yeah. No, but still, they can make food on the spot. That's a really cool way of using modern technology, but advancing it by 20 years or so, because that's what they were, you know, in the future where they were. So they advanced it to that point where they're like, yeah, sure, it'll make food, and it can make other things, and it can make you a gun on the spot. But the problem is that they had a machine that could just make them a gun on the spot. Like, really? They sent up every single nation at a time of potential war breaking out due to a lack of resources everywhere on Earth. And one person just could have printed a gun and ended it all? Really?
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't feel like anybody on board, I mean, other than the alternate dimension, because maybe the Schmidt, the German scientist, did, and that's how he took over and crashed the satellite. But I felt like this crew, that was kind of not, it wasn't even a forethought in anyone's mind.
No, but there are people who plan these things that are like, you know what we should do? Maybe we should somehow fix the casting so that it doesn't create a gun. Like, you know, like, oh, it makes food. Yeah, is there a way we could limit it? I mean, we're in the fucking future. We could make it. Isn't there a way we can limit it?
I guess if they had to, I don't know, like... Maybe
like,
they're like, what if
like
they do find aliens up there? Or what if space pirates come and get them? They might need to defend themselves.
Okay, fine. 2038 NRA. We'll let them open carry in space.
Oh, jeez.
Their second Space Amendment rights. Okay. Like, Jesus. Fucking Jesus. But, no, look, man, for me, it's just kind of like, I've been saying this over and over again. It's funny because I feel like everyone's hearing me talk about this, and they're like, Matt, it really sounds like it's in the no bueno category for you. But the first half of the movie really did blow me away. Like, just seeing the monster's silhouette on Earth, seeing what this guy was doing, trying to protect this little girl, seeing him overcome, and of course her as well, seeing them both overcome the fact that their kids died and wanting to maybe start again. I think it was so beautiful having them on the spaceship work together to try to, obviously get back to their universe. Jensen is such a strange character, I think. I mean, granted, in the situation she's in, I get that even before she turned, it's kind of like, what are we, she's like, what do I do in this situation? I know everyone here, but none of you guys know me.
None of them know
me.
Right. Yeah.
Also, who the fuck is she? And it's kind of like, what do you mean she? Yeah, she. Who the fuck is she? Talking about Tam. And they're like, that's Tam. She's doing this job. No, that's my job. Okay, this is weird.
Yeah, like it's like you said. I like the build-up that they have at first, but then it doesn't. The delivery wasn't really that satisfying. At the end.
Yeah, one thing I want to mention too, by the way, that I found interesting or strange. I don't know if you found it this way. We got a lot of different nations and cultures and stuff like that. We didn't get anyone Japanese or Korean or Taiwanese, because it seemed like, because I don't know because you might not know this about Tam, but actually you might know if you saw the subtitles. She was speaking Mandarin.
I also saw the Chinese flag on her jacket.
Right, sorry, thank you. Yes, of course. I'm not, because it's funny. The movie's playing in the background, but I'm not looking. I was paying attention to people's arms moving on their own, Tristan. Are you controlling it? No, I'm not. How do you know? Because I'm flipping you off right now.
Right.
Oh, God. But anyway, so I only mention it because her actress is also Chinese, and she, by the way, one thing that I like about her character, putting this for a split second, very powerful, very strong. I love the part where she's like, talk to me like that again, and you're going to be having more problems than everything else that's going on right now.
Right, yeah. That was
what she said to the German scientist, I was like, that was really, So that was nice.
Yeah, when she said to Schmidt.
But yeah, so what I'm trying to get at here, though, is that it just felt strange that they included her and not a Japanese person. Even like, oh, we're gonna have a new. I mean, maybe it would have felt weird if it was like, or like it would have felt. I don't want to say racist, but it would have felt weird if Jensen was Japanese, because if she said, "What do you mean I had her job?" It would have been like, "Oh no, let's not make it seem like a Japanese person and Chinese person are interchangeable or something like that." Also, you don't want to stir up any cultural tensions between the two. I don't know. It just felt it's just strange because like I don't know if you know this, Tristan, but a lot of American movies try really hard nowadays. Either they try hard to get the Chinese market to be really invested in their movies, both in terms of going to see them in the theater, as well as trying to get Chinese investors on to actually work on the movies and put money towards the movies. That's actually, that happened with not the last Transformers, but I think I can actually say the words two Transformers ago. Two Transformers movies ago, maybe even three. I think it was the third or fourth one. Heavily, a lot of money put in by Chinese investors. A lot of, I think certain scenes even happened in China. Like they went to China to film certain scenes, and the movie was actually pretty popular there. So I do wonder if Tam's character, not her actress, because the actress is actually critically acclaimed, like everyone loves her. She's done amazing movies, won a bunch of awards. She's been in Memoirs of a Geisha, which is only strange because movie centers around Japanese folk, not Chinese. But still, she was in the movie. She won a lot of awards for it. Everyone knows her, not just from that, but a bunch of other roles that she's done. So she is very accomplished as an actress, but I wonder if her character was put in to try to appeal to that market. Maybe not. I'm not saying like either Abrams or someone else did this, but I wonder if like a higher up did that. Because again, it's very strange that they went for Chinese over Japanese or really any other Asian person. Like I'm only pointing that out not as an actress thing, because I think as an actress thing, she obviously immediately, like you look at her filmography, her background, her resume, and you're like, oh. Well, she just stepped right on in, right?
Right.
But I wonder if the character was picked for that reason, to try to, and then speaks a fair amount of Mandarin.
Right.
Also, what's interesting is how they understand Mandarin. All of them do, seemingly. They don't speak it, but they acknowledge, and they're like, yes, and they respond in English. And I was like, oh.
Right.
Like, that was interesting as well.
They might know enough of each other's languages that they can at least get the gist of it and maybe not respond directly, but...
No, of course. But I just want to mention, only reason why I mentioned the Chinese market thing just briefly is because of the fact that they even had her speak in Mandarin, and people, like, no, I don't think any other character spoke in their quote-unquote native tongue other than her.
Right. I mean, Schmidt uses German to... maybe he was using Mandarin to talk to her back, too. Because at one point...
No, he was using Mandarin.
Meet me on the... Oh, okay. Yeah, because I didn't pay attention
I thought he was
hard enough to realize what he was speaking.
I think it was Mandarin because I had the subtitles on, because early on it was hard for me to distinguish their accents and what they were saying.
Right. Okay.
So I'm pretty sure it said, Schmidt said, like, it was like Schmidt, parentheses, in Mandarin.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, which is a very interesting book, Schmidt in Mandarin. It's like, wait, what? That's a very interesting title. But yeah, no, I'm pretty sure he said it to her in Mandarin, and that's maybe he wanted to say it so that maybe it's funny. I say that even though we just acknowledge other people know, maybe he said it just softly, like, He's not saying it just like loudly in English, like "Meet me over there, other physicist." Right. But anyway, I only bring it up because, again, we see certain big budget action films trying to appeal to the Chinese market. I don't think it's always to the detriment of the films. It obviously wasn't here because they picked an amazing actress. It's not like it took away from the film at all, and I don't think there's a problem with her being Asian in the film. It's so silly, I think, when people are like, no, can't be Imagine we have this movie about everyone in the world needing to come together to save the world. Can you imagine if it was only a bunch of white people from America?
No.
Like, wait, what? Doesn't make sense when it needs to be everyone in the world coming together. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, so in that regard, I'm not trying to come at it from that angle at all because I think that's dumb. I'm only coming at it from, they went, for her over, and the reason why I think I picked Japanese is because of the fact that the first movie was it was inspired by kaiju.
Right.
So you would think they would go for a Japanese scientist of some kind or a Japanese, person on the ship rather than anyone else. But when they went with her, and then there was no other Japanese person in sight, I was like, oh, that's interesting. So it just got my brain working in that way, like a behind-the-scenes kind of way. Like, I wonder. I don't know how well this might do in the Chinese market. I don't think I'm going to get a theatrical release there. I have no idea how that'll work. While watching this movie in the background, I want to mention something completely away from this topic because I think I've said enough about it. It was weird that she saw her family and they didn't look that different. I mean, maybe her version of this universe looked lighter and was smiling more. Like, I don't know. Like, no, because I wanted there to be some big difference. Nothing silly, like they have lizard tongues or something. But I wanted there to be like them to say, I don't know. Like, it felt. I guess it was just supposed to be her noticing that they're not me, which that's just why she was looking at the footage so much. But when she looked at it that much and it kept on going for that long, I was expecting something major to be shown, like she has a third kid.
Right.
Like I was expecting something, or like one of them has a different name. I know it would take away from the theme, but like when you show it for that long, I don't know, maybe my comedy brain is on, but I expect something major.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before we kind of start wrapping things up and closing up shop here on the podcast, just closing down for the night, is there anything else that really stuck out to you, either good or bad, with the film itself? Because I know, I know you don't hate the movie. Or is there anything you want me to me to try to explain? Because I know you mentioned things were going way too fast. Not for you, but just in general. I think this is a movie where things are going a bit too fast. I might even want to watch it again just to see if I got everything. So anything? Yeah. I mean,
I think I've pretty much hit everything I want to. Like, I'd like to say, too, I didn't hate the movie, and I really I'm pretty big into sci-fi, so I love the whole space station setting and everything like that. So, yeah, it's just, I like the premise and I like the setting and all of that. So it's not a bad movie, it just didn't, like you'd mentioned earlier, it didn't kind of deliver in the way we maybe wanted it to, so.
Yeah, and again, it's a marketing thing. When you say everything's going to be answered, and in a way, they did answer how the monster is there. So at the bare minimum, they did their job. How is the monster there? Oh, bleeding through realities, right? Oh, but wait, that was in 2008. It can bleed through time too. Oh.
Right.
Okay. So, in a way, they explained everything. It's just that, I don't know, I didn't expect there to be cameos, but I do think that we definitely do get spoiled by movies that have cameos, be it comic book movies or Doctor Who stuff, Star Trek stuff, even to a certain extent, Star Wars. I'm trying to think of any other random sci-fi or just general. I mentioned comic book movies already. Just we get spoiled by these, or Doctor Who, of course, duh. I've been mentioning in all podcasts. We get spoiled by certain cameos when people say things are going to be explained or whatever. So I'm not saying I expected people to appear from the first two movies. I did not.
Yeah, right.
But it would have been super interesting if we got weird flashes like that. It would have been weird. It would have been interesting, because that's the thing, I think. This, when you mention time getting screwy, you're like, oh, will time get screwy here? And, of course, the dimensions did, but time never did.
Right.
And because time never did, it just felt like there was – that's the thing. Just, it felt incomplete, like it felt like there were pieces of the movie taken out. But, again, like I mentioned earlier, I think I mentioned it on the show, not just to you in private, this movie was written as God Particle. It was a completely separate movie, purchased, and they added in some Cloverfield stuff to it. Abrams thought that it definitely could fit into the universe, so then that means that they rewrote a few things here and there before fully making it, and then they did.
I mean,
and
to be
here we are.
Yeah, like it's kind of like how I said before, how 2 kind of fit that bill. This one didn't for me. I kind of would have liked to see this movie without Cloverfield. Like, I think I would have enjoyed that movie better, to be honest.
I don't think I'd go that far. I think I would just want more Cloverfield-ness in the movie, because I don't think I want to remove it all, because then it's not like it'd be a bad movie, but I feel like we'd be making Doctor Who jokes even more.
All right.
Because we'd be making jokes about who... No, because the thing is, even without the Cloverfield parts of it, it would still feel like, well, what's going on here? We need some person like the Doctor to explain what's going on. That's all the movie needed, was one person making hypothetical explanations. All hypothetical, mind you, but hypothetical explanations throughout the film, and having them be like, we don't have time to talk about this right now.
Yeah. I feel like Schmidt does that, but he's not, like, his character isn't dedicated to that, so he's also of the mindset, I could hypothesize about this all I want, but we don't have time for me to do that right now. Nor did anyone else seem to want to hear it. Really.
That is a good point. Yeah. That is a good point, to be fair. It just felt like, again, I can say it over and over again, so I'm not going to. But you're right.
Yeah.
Well, in a way, you're right when you mention that, this movie, it could have been a standalone. I'll say that much. Yes, it could have been. But I don't think I would have preferred removing all of the Cloverfield parts out of it. I think I just would have preferred, especially if they were on Earth, some weird shit about, let's say the guy's driving, and immediately it's like, wait a minute, why am I at, this is not where I'm supposed to be at, and he backs up out of, like, the Brooklyn Bridge collapsing.
Right, yeah.
How fucking crazy would that have been?
That would have been a cool tie-in, yeah.
Yeah, if, like, they refilmed the scene, or they, have CG with the fucking, what's it called? The tentacle collapsing the bridge, and as he's driving with the girl, he just fucking backs up back into 2038, and he's like, what the fuck was that? Because that's the thing. You built this up, and not you personally, Tristan. I don't think you were on the ad team. If you were, then fuck you, Tristan. But I don't think you were. Not that I'm saying fuck you to anyone who built up the advertising for this, but just to Tristan if he was, because I know him. But
I don't know whether to feel happy or angry about that.
Right. I have no strong feelings one way or the other. But I just feel as if with the way this movie was pushed and everything, you answered the base questions, but in a weird way, because this was only one movie, I'm now sitting here like, great, I feel disappointed. Because if someone told me there was a part 2 to this, I'd be into it. I would be super into it. Also, were they eaten when they came back to Earth? Because we saw the monster pop out of the clouds. But what does that actually mean? Because they fell into the clouds that the monster then popped out of. So, were they eaten? I don't know. Also, was the monster bigger than the other, like, because when it popped out of the clouds, I'm like, perspective is a motherfucker, because that's the biggest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Right. Yeah, like, because the one you see in 08, like, it's not even above the skyscrapers, and that definitely shouldn't reach the troposphere, the cloud layer.
I mean, granted, it looked like it jumped, but regardless, it looks like the difference between Zilla and Godzilla King of the Monsters. I'm sorry, not King of the Monsters. No. Godzilla Planet of the Monsters, the animated one.
Yeah. Right.
It looked like that difference in fucking, height. And I'm like, I don't know about this. So that was strange, I have to be honest with you. So yeah, I just, I don't think we have much else to say about this other than it could have been so much more. I get why people feel deflated, but I don't know how to feel about the critics though. Where like the critics are like, "Oh, this," like one critic said this franchise, this is from a dying franchise that should have stopped 10 years ago. And I'm like, "Whoa." Whoa.
Yeah, whoa. Hold the phone.
Yeah. Like 10 Cloverfield Lane is a piece of art. Okay? Like, whoa. But I have to admit, though, like, I understand now why some people were criticizing this, because there were some people online that I didn't try to read too much. I didn't want to be spoiled, but sadly YouTube and their fucking algorithms I know we're on YouTube, and we've brought ourselves through YouTube, so I do enjoy having a website that allows us to put stuff up for free. But as a viewer, I fucking hate YouTube. No, because Tristan, all I have to do is search up a few Dragon Ball Super openings, and YouTube is like, "Do you want more Dragon Ball Super content? We can send you YouTubers who will spoil you if you want."
Right, yeah.
And I'm like, "No, I'm good, YouTube. I don't want Dragon Ball Super content that will spoil me. I'm trying to be clear for the podcast. Please don't do this, YouTube." So YouTube kind of tried to spoil me with Cloverfield Paradox a little bit with people's theories and stuff like that. So I didn't, but still I did sort of see some people in like YouTube comments for the trailer being like, "Oh, this wasn't that good, yada yada," and I was like, "What are these people talking about?" And when we see the movie, it's not the worst thing in the world, but it definitely, because a lot of people are giving it like 18 out of 100 or, like fucking 35 out of 100. And I'm like, I don't know if it's there.
I don't know. No, it definitely doesn't deserve that.
But I don't think it even deserves like a 75, though.
I mean, I'd probably
had to
give it
put
a 50-50.
numbers to it. Yeah, that's the issue, right? Like, that's still low.
I'd give it a C+.
That's not a 50. C+ is 75.
Well, I'm thinking like if F is 0 and A is 100, that's what I was thinking more of.
Oh, okay, that's fair. Sorry, I thought we were going with the American grading system, the one that we all know and love. No. Okay, fair. Fair, though, you're right. Yeah, if F is 0 and A is 100, then, giving it a 50 would make it a C. Yeah, good point. Okay, if that's your grading scale, then yeah. I'd give it the same, because literally half of the movie is great.
Yeah.
And then the other half is mostly not.
Mm.
And it's really sad. So I hope that the next one will get this bad taste out of our mouths. And I think it will, because, again, the next one is something completely different. So it has the ability to, although I will admit, though, if the next one is, bad, that sets a really bad trend, and I don't know what that means for this franchise. I will definitely say, if there is going to be another one after the next one, even if it's good, this next one, wait a while. Like, holy shit, 2 movies are coming out in a year, and they weren't supposed to, but I don't think Cloverfield needs the Star Wars treatment.
Mm. Yeah, no.
You know what I'm saying? With one every year?
Yeah.
Because if everything was going on track, it would have been 10 Cloverfield Lane in 2016. It would have been this one in 2017, and then the one that's coming out in October for 2018. Stop.
Right.
Just wait a minute. Wait, after this next one coming up, maybe wait till 2020. Let's pump the brakes here a little bit. We don't need to just, and also the thing too, maybe just don't buy random ass scripts and make them Cloverfield.
Yeah, because it's kind of a miracle that worked for, the second one. Now, trying that again with the third one, it's like, guys, you probably shouldn't rely on that.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe it'll work better with the fourth one, but if it doesn't, they might need to reevaluate that a little bit.
Right.
Because I'm sure it's cheap, to buy a script and then just write in some Cloverfield references. And again, there's supposed to be a separate, universe and stuff and time period, so I get it. But, if it doesn't work with the next one, maybe we don't do it anymore. And to be fair, I don't know if the next one is written specifically for the universe or if it's a bought script. So if it isn't, all right, then that's good. Maybe they're doing something different here. But if it is another bought one, then just pump the brakes a little bit. Maybe if you buy one again, heavily rewrite it, not little bits, because it truly feels like only little bits here and there where, like, okay, he'll see the silhouette, okay, there's Slusho over there, the word Cloverfield paradox, right? Because, again, if the word Cloverfield paradox isn't used, it's not like there wasn't going to be a paradox anyway. It's not like weird shit wasn't going to happen anyway. It was called God Particle for a reason, the original draft. So that's just my take on it anyway. All right, so anything you want to say before we officially wrap this up?
No, I think I'm good.
All right, then. Thank you all so much for listening in, as always. If you're watching this through our YouTube channel, Those Guys on the Radio, please remember to like and subscribe. If you are watching it through our Blog Talk Radio account, you can follow us through there as well. Blog Talk Radio account, by the way, is blogtalkradio.com/Those Guys on the Radio. And you also might be able to be, if you're not listening to us through iTunes, you could be. You just search up Those Guys on iTunes and subscribe to our podcast there and get all of our updates. We have so many different episodes, and we've done so many different reviews over the years, not just Tristan and I, but a bunch of other hosts as well. And many of those hosts, along with Tristan, have also joined us to do a lot of different Let's Play and other kind of gaming content over at our Those Guys Play YouTube channel. You can search up Those Guys Play to find us there. Currently, we're in the middle of Those Guys Play Season 4. Funnily enough, we bring up Godzilla because we've done Godzilla on Friday Night Movies before, and even recently did Godzilla, Planet of the Monsters. Monster Planet? I don't know. There's been a Monster Planet one before. But we did that recent anime movie on And a Saturday. We even played Godzilla Destroy All Monsters Melee for the GameCube on one of the most recent episodes of Those Guys Play Season 4. And again, there's also a bunch of other things as well. I mean, you and I also did an episode of TG Tutorials where we taught people how to spot fake Game Boy Color or just Game Boy Pokemon cartridges and see the little differences here and there. And it was a very interesting episode to have you on for. You've also been on What's in a Box, where we get different people who've been on Those Guys Play and Those Guys on the Radio, and they put their hands in a box and they see what console is in the box. So, and we have a bunch of other fun shows on the channel as well. A lot of different, again, Let's Play, general gaming content, do-it-yourself stuff. So you can check that out on Those Guys Play. And we have TG Productions as well. We have a lot of, fun skits, a show called Toku Trivia, and a lot of other interesting dubs of stuff and just general weird esoteric content that you can find and just search up TG Productions and find it there. Now, if you want to, you can do that, all that stuff, but if you're wondering if there's a general hub, just to see where our releases, what days things are going to be released and stuff like that, you can actually go to our main website, which is tgproduction.net, or you can go to our Facebook and you can follow us there, which is Those Guys on the Facebook.com/Those Guys on the Radio, or just follow us on Twitter at Those Guys Radio. Also, you can go over to our Patreon if you want to donate to us, kind of help us keep the lights on. No earthquakes, no power outages. Keep the lights going on, and also just be a part of us. And just kind of be a part of the process. So depending on what tier you donate to, not only can you become a sponsor, so we can give you a shout-out during either one of our podcasts, be it Keikaku Corner, or be it one like this, or, of course, during our Let's Plays as well, but you could also end up saying to us, hey, we would like you to do a podcast on this, or a Let's Play on that. So basically, you could have us, if it was about, let's say, giant monsters, you can say, hey, top 5 favorite giant monster fights, or top 5 favorite giant monster video games, or giant monster movies, or something like that. So it doesn't have to just be about specifically like a Godzilla movie or Pacific Rim or Cloverfield or something like that. Also, same thing with our Let's Plays as well. You can even mix and match hosts. So with our Let's Plays, you can say, hey, I would love for Tristan Walter, another one of our hosts, Anthony Toto, to play, Barbie's Horse Adventure for the PS1 or something like that. So you can really choose almost whatever game you want to and whatever host you want to. And, if there's an issue with that, then we'll definitely talk to you guys about it because, some hosts don't even live in New York.
Maybe in another dimension.
Yeah, in another dimension, you'll play that game. But yeah, so again, depending on the tier you donate to, you can you can help us just become a part of a lot of the content, or really kind of focus the content to what you guys want it to be. It's kind of a way of just, not just as a tip jar, but it's also a way of us knowing, oh, you really want this. Kind of like an express line, basically, where, there's content that I know that I would love to do with you again, Tristan, like Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. But we have so many different things going on with all three of our channels that unless we know that someone is really invested in us doing more Dark Moon, it doesn't fall to the wayside. Of course, we're going to do it, but it doesn't get done as fast as some of the other stuff that we have going on, where like you and I have those guys play Dragon Ball Z. We play different Dragon Ball Z games. Currently, we're almost done with Dragon Ball Z Budokai, and we're also in the middle of Dragon Ball Z Infinite World. So there's a lot of different stuff that we do on those guys play channel, and plenty of other channels as well. Also, if you want to get some of our merchandise to support us that way, you can go over to our main website, tgproduction.net/merchandise, or over to our eBay channel, ebay.com/USR/ThoseGuysRadio. I think that about wraps everything up. I don't think I actually mentioned our Patreon, by the way, is patreon.com/TGProductions. Love you guys so much for listening in. As always, another episode of this, another episode of the Friday Night Movies, talking about the Cloverfield Paradox. All right, then. So I guess I would say goodnight, Tristan.
Good night, everyone. Where's my
Good
arm?
night, everyone. I was going to say I would wave, but I don't have an arm. I would clap, but